folks, welcome back. Episode 3, Lessons Unplanned, the realities of teaching. Episode 3. We're starting to work out the kinks. We're gonna do a little role play, a little Imagineering today, if you want. Talking about what the system gets right and maybe, just maybe, what it gets wrong. So we're gonna talk about some honest things, and you don't hold back, and don't feel like you're gonna hurt my feelings if you point it at me either. So, because I'll point it right back. Don't worry. So who wants to start today? What's something the system gets fundamentally wrong?
So I think across education and the board, that's me. I'm sorry.
He's also a firefighter, folks.
Yeah. Good job.
Got to be a firefighter.
So what they really get wrong is at the top level, there's too many politics that come into play down in Harrisburg and at the national level. And I mean, fundamentally, the best interest of the kids is not at heart at that level. And it's extremely detrimental. It's about profit.
Right.
And they don't see the impact that it has in the classroom, So, I mean, right there is where it really, really starts, but they make it look like it's a local problem.
Just to touch that topic, if you remember this thing called COVID.
Yeah. A little bit.
And school boards became like the battleground for everybody about everything, but not education.
Right.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
When you bring politics into education decisions, you're not making the right decision. And I think I agree with you on that. I think education is a weaponized term that politicians use to push people one way or the other. Yeah. And, we're becoming kind of the punching bag for some of that. And I think that's really what we're dealing with now with a lot of how we're perceived as a institution of learning. So I absolutely agree with you, that statement. And I wish there were more experts making key level decisions and not just politicians making key level decisions when it comes to mandates from the state or federal level.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't mind rules. I don't mind mandates, but I want them grounded in expert decisions and not just someone trying to fulfill a platform promise.
Well, your school districts shouldn't have to take the state to the Supreme Court.
Right. To get funded.
Overfunding.
Right.
Overfunding. It
Right.
shouldn't be that way.
No.
You were elected officials.
Just Pennsylvania, folks.
So, that's just one of the things. I mean, I think the other big thing is you mentioned COVID. Fundamentally, technology and the tech companies have pushed their way into classrooms, knowing the impact it has on students' eyes, knowing the impact that it doesn't have on learning, and the impact that programs have on making students idle. As I sit here as a phys ed teacher, to get kids to put those things down, they knew what was going to happen, but all in the name of profit.
Yeah.
It was, can we get them hooked at an earlier age? Can we get it in there? And they use COVID as a way to completely just push it and make it stay. Now we have to use this program. Oh, this is going to be the next program. This is going to be the next program. And it's like, you know what? Pencil and paper work really well to make the things that you're selling.
Absolutely. And by the way, we're really happy you're sitting still. But in between episodes, because we're trying to do
really
it
hard
today,
right
he did some wind sprints, did some arm pulls. He was
push-ups in between.
We were just waiting for him to get his 10 minutes of exercise in so we could get the next episode started. So
Thanks a lot, Jake.
thanks for settling back into the chair. Tressa, we didn't give you a chance, but what's something the system gets fundamentally wrong?
I mean, I think that we have to be looking at the future, right? So many things in school, well, we used to do it this way, or we used to do this, or we used to do that. And I get it. But at the same time, I mean, I know you've heard it before. We're educating our kids for jobs that don't exist yet. So how do we do that? And how can we think outside a box that we don't know how big the box is or what shape it is or what it's made out of, We got
a lot of, I got several pieces of feedback when we passed policy 815.1, the generative AI policy, because they were like, what are you kidding me? You should be teaching cursive writing. I'm like, well, we kind of still do that, but other than signing a check or not
Reading
even contracts anymore, historical document, it's really not out there anymore. Like, or if you want, we can go back to teaching math with an abacus. Like, things change. And generative AI is helping us, like, also be better instructors, but also giving kids the tools to work for those jobs they don't have yet.
Right.
But that is definitely a challenge, trying to preserve and respect the legacy,
Right.
but push into the future.
And I mean, there are things that, pencil and paper. My class is pencil and paper. We don't do things online. Why? Because I know they get it other places.
Right.
They still need that pencil and paper too. Like,
Well-
we all know what happens when things shut down or when the internet's down or, computers glitch or whatever. I mean, we know what happens.
Yep.
So you have to be able to do that thing too.
Well, I was just going to say, like, we're going to talk about technology in another episode. And I think we had a list of 10 that we're working on. Technology comes up as one of those. But I definitely think the term of being a digital native has been taken a little too far in the classroom environment, because now we have a lot more research out there on the impact on the brain with technology and devices and the behavioral issues we're facing because of that. And then if we ask every teacher to do something with technology, well, you're just multiplying that through a day. So if it's 10 minutes a day times 8 periods, we're putting almost an hour and a half in front of kids and a device. So we have to temper that a little bit now, right? And I'm going to tell you this. That's one thing I got wrong. I was very much pushing.
I wasn't wrong.
Oh, I'm always wrong.
I heard that once.
So
Okay, sorry.
I'll give you some people to follow on Facebook. But truthfully, I was a big person of, like, bring your own device, 1-to-1 technology. And now I'm like, maybe we should think about limiting that. Maybe we should go back to classroom sets of technology. Maybe we should go make a step back so that we focus on core instruction. We focus on face-to-face. We have to separate ourselves from the cyber charter schools, right? If we're just a place to get free lunch and breakfast and take school online, then it doesn't make us much different.
Correct.
So that might be something I got wrong.
In the previous episode, you mentioned one of the things that, that we struggle with, in the classroom. It is a teacher making sure that it's this student's work.
Yes.
Yeah.
Especially when it wasn't turned in as a digital document, it was handwritten or something else. Even then, it's the time it takes to get those things checked.
100%.
The kids are looking for the easy way.
Always.
One of the a great thing I had this past summer was being able to talk with one of the creators of AI. And this guy was, he was going back through his history, of developing software, et cetera, and all those things with the computers. And I don't know anything about it. And I was like, okay. But it was fascinating. He said, to my wife and I, as being educators, he's like, we have to limit how much this is used because we won't be able to continue to get anything better if they don't know the base. And they can't create new bases, and they can't create the new mathematics, and they can't create like all these things. He said if they just let it do it for them, it will never advance past that. Right. Because it only pulls data from what's already existing. Right. And that's what the students need to learn and understand. And the other thing in the classroom with this, as you're speaking on that, is just because I told this to my students, I said, I went and asked it to create a workout for me. Had I not had a background in that, I wouldn't have been able to look at it and say, "Oh yeah, that's a bad idea." No, that's not.
That would have hurt you probably.
Yeah, it would have badly. And I had to scale for age, which I usually don't have to do. But that's one of the things that we battle with this as it's now in the classroom.
Yeah, how to use it the right way.
Yep.
What do we need to stop doing in education? What do we just got to be like, enough's enough. Let's stop doing this.
I think for me, it's passing kids when they don't pass.
Passing kids when they don't pass.
Because, how many kids, their true grade is a 40. And you say, okay, well, let's try to help this kid out so that first marking period, he's got to have a 55. Okay, why? You got a 40. Or here's the kid's grade for the whole year. They failed. They go to summer school, and I know summer schools are not easy. I would never want to teach summer school because those kids, first of all, don't want to be there. And second of all, it's summer school. It's summer, but...
It's right up there with being prison guards.
Right?
I'm sure.
So then they finish the work that's at summer school, but it's such a condensed course. Did they really get what they needed for the year? When really, if we just failed that kid and we said, hey, you're going to do 4th grade again, or hey, you're going to stay in 6th grade and do it again, they would mature enough, they would get where they needed to be, they would understand things a little bit better, and then they might be just fine going through the rest of their school. We don't do that anymore. Right. And I don't know why, and I just think that that's something that we need to stop doing. Is it something that people want to hear? Probably not. But is it something that needs to happen? I mean, I kept my child back an extra year because I didn't want him to go to school too young.
Right.
And now I'm seeing that he probably could have gone okay, but I'm glad I did it because he had that extra year to develop.
We're going to put a pin in that one. We got to dig into that one a little bit later. We're going to dig into that one on that's a whole episode on its own. Grades, grading, promoting, retention.
It's important. I mean,
I held my son back, and then he graduated a year early.
Yeah, well, he did that to you to spite you, just so you know that.
Held him back, graduated early, right on time.
Right.
What?
Perfect.
Who does that?
He's
Made
like,
perfect sense.
I'll show you, Pops.
Yeah. No,
What needs to stop, Jake?
What needs to stop? And I don't mean this 100% for everything.
Okay.
But I think it's the school districts getting out there and the district and the parents or the teachers putting everything in and doing all of the contacting, all of the reaching out, all of the extra efforts. Well, my kid didn't do this, but did you contact him? Did you pull him in? Did you do this? Did you do that? And going after the teachers and administrators when they need to step back and say, what did my kid do? Mm-hmm. What was it that my child didn't do right? Mm-hmm. It's flipped the switch where you hear so many things of, well, they just let my kid go through. Mm-hmm. Back up. You have your child's location 24/7 mm-hmm. on your device. You text your kid while he's in our classroom. You have the kid's grades in front of you every single day mm-hmm. when they're uploaded. So, from that sense, the expectation of the schools, and I understand it. I understand why we have to do that as teachers. It's not a complaint, but I look at it from the other side and say, okay, we reach out so much, and we're talking about how do we make connections with our community and how do we get more community to come in. Well, they don't have to,
right?
Because we're constantly showing up on their doorstep right. in many different ways,
right?
Not physically.
And I'm all in favor of, me. I want us to make sure that we're presenting the people with that there are positive things happening, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But what I'm hearing from you is we need to let kids advocate for themselves mm-hmm. and stop cutting out the middleman, which mm-hmm. is mom, dad, teacher. Yeah. And teach some advocacy skills in mm-hmm. all of our students, mm-hmm. Our highest flyers to our most needed supporters. Yep. I agree because, when you walk out into the real world and something doesn't go right mm-hmm. and you're not getting the result, you need to have the critical thinking skills to work yourself through it.
That's what I was just thinking. It's a skill.
Yeah.
It's a skill.
So.
But I think that has to come from both home and school. So
I think that's a partnership.
As a parent, you have to say, hey, we have to talk to your teachers about this. As a teacher, you have to say, hey, let's talk to your parents about this so that we can get it together. Just like the coach, right? First rule is I'll only talk to the player about an issue first. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And after we talk and it doesn't go well, then I'll start involving other people. Yep.
But you got to teach it where they got to start advocating for themselves. I would agree with that. Yep. Stop doing an education. Stop making us the social human resource center for everything and not giving us any money to do it.
Yep.
Right? Because, it's no longer about ABCs and 1, 2, 3s, and we can't afford anything more than that right now. Mm-hmm. So I think that's a big one for me, but different seats, but same perspective.
As we just come through with the ETSI.
Yes.
Right? And it's going to cost the school district
to
implement the plan at the high school.
Sure is.
Right. And I'm sure that we just submit that invoice.
Who's paying that one?
No grant, no extra money for that.
Oh, that's not how it works. So like you said, though, I mean, it's a lot of the things that the community doesn't see. And they're like, well, where's all the money going? Well, there's things that are handed down from the state. Yeah. And they're like, yeah, you got to do this, but you got to do it within your budget from last year.
Right.
So go ahead. But if you don't do it, here's the consequence.
Right.
We're gonna cut. We're gonna do this, and
and every community gets upset about taxes and how much teachers make, how much superintendents make, and having to. But we're not in a unique community. Like every community feels the pressure of raising taxes and to fund the things that we have to do, right, and take care of the kids.
Yeah.
So that's a tough one for me. Let's kind of wrap this up with a quick one. If you were the Secretary of Education, which Pennsylvania doesn't even have one yet, we have an acting Secretary of Education right now because we can't confirm the person. What's one thing you would change? I know. I'll go first. I would get rid of, and I know this is a common one. There's two things I would do. I would give, which they've already done some of it, but no one's taken the leap to do anything, changing the school day because it needs to match what we're doing in the real world. Stop making crazy requirements on teachers to educate kids on things that should be taught at home.
Well,
I'm just saying, because like Jake said, if you don't teach kids to advocate, then their parents will do it for them or the teachers will do it, right? But if you don't do it, it's a missed skill. If we take that responsibility away from parents, they're gladly going to give it up. But if we got to push it back on them, that's fine. Because education is a partnership. So if I was a Secretary of Ed, I'm like, man, I would focus on what matters, the core instruction. And that might be a very unpopular opinion.
Well, I always said that if I could open my own school, right?
Okay.
If I could open my own school and I
have a feeling there's lollipops involved.
There wouldn't be, actually. It would be as cut and dry. So
Cupcakes.
You would come at 9.
Roses.
You'd leave at noon.
Oh, 9 to noon.
Come at 9, you'd leave at noon. Unless
recess.
You want to have some special classes that you want to take in the afternoon. You want to take a PE class. Like my daughter dances. She's at the dance studio 4+ hours, 6 times a week.
Yep.
She doesn't need a PE class.
Yep.
So maybe she doesn't want to take PE, but she wants to learn cooking, so she'll take that class, right?
Hey, listen, you're sitting next to someone over there. You careful.
I'm just saying.
Careful.
I can tell you why.
I'm just saying. So
he didn't get his workout in today.
If I had the ability to have my own school and the kids came at 9 and I gave them those core pieces that they needed, and then in the afternoon they could take some electives if they wanted to, but if not, they didn't have to. It wasn't a requirement. But we're teaching them what they need and then what they want to know.
Right.
To be successful and to make their lives better and that might be soft skills. Maybe they do want to learn some soft skills because they don't have that at home or because they don't have the ability to do that somewhere else. I'm good with that. But I think that if by keeping the kids there all day, there's a lot of wasted time because kids' attention spans are only so long.
Yeah, and I agree with, I understand where you're at, but I'm going to pull from Tom Murphy on this in that education has shifted to the majority of our job is teaching kids human skills.
Yes. As
they interact in the school and to be social and all of that goes with it. So I understand where you're at, and I don't want to pop your balloon.
I'm just saying that's what I would do. Nobody would like it because the kids would be gone at noon. But
unpopular opinion of me, right? Saying we should only get back to the basics, but you're right. We have to do a lot of human skill development.
We have
to. And if we don't, we're only hurting our current society, right? Because we do want to have competent, able, and participant, collaborative citizens. Yeah. And if you don't teach those skills of how to interact, how to think critically, how to tolerate, like not condone, but just tolerate
and self-advocate.
Right.
If a student's not acting correctly, to say something rather than letting it go is just by not saying anything, you're also saying it's okay.
Right.
Absolutely.
Those things we learn in school.
Drives me nuts is when there are teachers who are willing to do those things, right? Willing to go outside the school day, willing to go outside the school year and offer those things to kids, right? Yeah. I know because I'm one of those people who used to give 2 to 3 weeks in the summer to teach these soft skills to these kids. Yeah. They either A, would only show up because their parents made them come, and then they were a whole problem, right? Or they didn't come at all because they were like, well, I'm not doing anything extra. But you don't understand. Yeah. These are skills that you need,
you
right?
Have to have them. Yeah.
So it's a catch-22 because you do it or you don't, and you get a result that you don't want. I don't know.
Well, and it is like we get to pick the one thing. Like, and so what I'm saying is like I just want to take a step back.
Yeah.
Let's go back to the 90s or the 80s.
80s,
But
man, they were fun.
You kids were what?
Roller
5 or 6 years
skating.
old? Like, yeah.
Ready
yeah.
for
You talk like you're so
one
much older
thing.
than us.
I know.
I
I'm super
know.
duper old.
You're
He's
not.
ancient. He's
You're
ancient.
not.
He's ancient. I'm like 25.
I'm like Papa Smurf.
So
Jake, what's your one thing?
my one thing is the first thing that I would do is I would privatize completely the cyber schools and make sure that they are not pulling funding from public schools at all. And I understand their fantasy of having that funding follow a kid, but people who make the decision to take their kids to a private school, it's a good education. It really is. But they pay for it out of their own pocket.
Mm-hmm.
None of that money follows them.
Yeah.
And only because of the influence at the top level down in Harrisburg have they advocated for themselves to the point and where that money has to follow them.
Mm-hmm.
And only on TV can you find a PA cyber charter schools, calling it right out as it is. The people should ask themselves, how is this school able to advertise in primetime television in a slot? And that would be the one thing that I would just shut down and be like, you guys are private school.
Right.
And that's all you are.
You
Good
won't
luck.
you won't see an Athens area school district ad at the Super Bowl. I'm just going to
You're
tell you that.
definitely
But you
not.
might see a CCA ad. Susan Spica, Ed Voters PA, a lot of those people put out a lot of stuff this past year because, we're not with a budget and cyber charter schools have been a huge financial burden on public schools. And it's because, if a kid enrolls from the Athens area school district into a cyber charter school, it is $29,000.
Yeah.
That's a kid with a special ed with an IEP. Without, it's close to 20. We can educate a kid for 12 to 16. So when they say that's, those are not real numbers. No, those are real numbers. But I like to put those things in different terms. We bid $1.4 million this year for cyber school tuition. We have about 7,400 taxed parcels in our school district. So you do the math. That's everybody who has a tax parcel. Everybody who has to pay taxes sends approximately $250 to $260 out of their community, right,
To cyber.
to a cyber charter school that does not have a headquarters here, doesn't have an interest here, doesn't have you can't go to their board meetings and tell them what to do. You can come to ours.
All they're doing is polishing a turd and putting it on TV.
So
Well, honestly, here's my question.
not to get down a rabbit hole, but
Well, no,
that is a
I
huge
opened
burden
it.
on school districts.
It's insane, and people complain to
If it's
local
of value,
district.
I would love.
Well, that's my question.
It's not of value.
How
No.
do you see these kids coming back saying, "Oh, well, I went to cyber charter last year," and they're coming back and they're performing like leaps and bounds ahead of everybody else? No, I'm not
Right.
seeing that.
Well,
what drives me crazy in their ad is, my kid was failing in the regular public school, and they went to cyber charter, and now they get all A's. And I'm like, okay, first of all, they found you, and but what they're not seeing is your kid has this grade, but what's their retention?
right.
What are they actually learning?
Yeah.
What are they doing to get that grade?
Look that up,
And
and,
I
want-
you're going to see how bad the school is failing them.
And I'm not gonna discredit that there are some people that gain true value in learning online.
Sure, they do.
Right.
Some do,
There
sure.
are true value to people going and being homeschooled.
Yeah.
There is a tremendous value of people choosing a private school where they might have to pay tuition. I don't begrudge any of those people. What I do begrudge is when it's not of the same quality that we can provide. And we do have our own online school, so we do have that option available, and it's rigorous,
I know because I wrote one of the courses.
right? And we teach it,
Yeah.
and it's our people, and we check in a lot.
Yes.
And if you're not successful, you come in. You're still online, but you still have to come in and get help. Like we do all those things.
Because we hold those
It just
standards.
doesn't. We just don't buy box seats at a hockey rink or
Not really.
rent out a whole section of the Phillies game.
We get to fundraise for that.
Right.
Jokes, but in reality, yes. I'm glad you brought that up as one thing you'd like to change, and I think you'd echo a lot of people who have to deal with the financial impact of that. Would love
It's
that.
huge.
I mean,
Right.
people that don't want their taxes raised don't show up to a school board meeting. show up to Harrisburg.
Yeah.
You know?
And I always say that, some people come and they share very valid concerns, but they're sharing it to the wrong people.
Yeah.
Right. We're not the legislators. We're not we do make policy, right?
Sure.
At the board level, you make board level policy,
For
but
us, but not
anything
for
that happens
them.
to the state supersedes any of board policy we can enact.
Right.
Right. So,
Yep.
yeah. Well, I appreciate it. Like we got into it a little bit more.
Yeah.
So when we come back, we're going to talk about what's different from when I went to school in the 1990s and to today, to 2025. So folks, stick around. We're just getting warmed up. We're getting better every time. Hopefully it sounds better. Hopefully it looks a little better. And probably in our next episode, the whole space will look a little bit.
We'll be transformed.
We'll
We
try.
get to hear about
We'll
Dr.
try.
Sage's education on the Oregon Trail as he grew up.
Yeah, we'll talk about it. It was a lot of work, a lot of straw.
Dysentery was a thing.
All right.
It was a real thing.
Had to eat hardtack and everything. But anyway, it's Lessons Unplanned, the realities of teaching. Thank you so much, Jake. Thank you so much, Tressa. And
you.
we'll catch you guys next time.
Yeah. Would you say the flip side?
Flip side.